Well, y'all, welcome back to the Rolling the Bomb podcast. I am your host, Zach Moyer. Hope you are doing well whenever you are listening to this one. It's currently 5:41 a.m. When I'm filming this, it's early. My voice may not fully be there yet, but it's Monday morning. We're filming it. Today is June 16th. It's also my birthday, so today I officially turned 21 years old. So, cool, big week for me, going down to Pocono, not Poco, it's Pocono. I got some exciting news to tell you guys about what I'm doing down there after this podcast. After we talk about Mexico City, Xfinty Comp, Daniel Suarez wins the Xfinty Series race in front of his home country. That was incredible. That was so cool. The fans were cheering for him. That has been one of the coolest, is not one of the coolest moments of Daniel Suarez's life, career. That was awesome. SVG dominates the Cup Series race. Two international drivers sweep the weekend. I forget when the last time that was. I saw someone post about it, but it's been a while. First time in a long time that no American-born driver wins during a NASCAR weekend. I'll talk about the Xfinity Series race quick, because I want to focus mostly on the Cup. Half an hour podcast. We talk about Daniel Suarez got the win, but it was I felt like this race was a Carson versus Ty Gibbs type of battle. It was those two cars most of the entire race, then battling for the top spot. I felt like Christopher Bell was also really good at third best car, but with issues with Bell's car in stage 2, he blew up. We saw a massive wreck in stage 3 that took out Gibbs and Zilich's car, and that led to Daniel Suarez kind of taking control of this race. But Daniel Suarez started last in this race, and he worked his way to the front just by just driving the car. It wasn't off really pit strategy. I think they only pit like 1 or 2 times in this race. It wasn't like pit stops was the game changer. I believe this backup car, because he wrecked out in practice. I think it was qualifying when he wrecked out. He wrecked and destroyed the front of this beautiful Quaker State car. Had to just go to a bare black body, throw some decals on it, and go racing. And this car that he ran as backup was the same car that Justin Allgaier took to a top 5 at Chicago's street race in the Xfinity Series race last year. So this car had speed, and Daniel Suarez showed that. Definitely. There was a big wreck in turn 1 in stage 3. It took out a lot of cars. Zilich got sideways, and then everyone was just piling in. Gibbs got a flat tire, got ran in the back of, I don't know, I think it was from like Parker Retzlaff. It was all over the place. I would say turn 1 this entire weekend was mayhem, because everyone would drive in deep. It was this turn kind of reminded me of Indianapolis's road courses turn 1, when it was really long straightaway, and then in this tight turn, slow, downshift. And that was just what happened. We just piled in there and took people out, and it is what it is. You got big bumpers on them, might as well use them right. So it got a little messy there, but I bet you there's a lot of fans in that turn 1. So I think all the Mexican fans really enjoyed the action there. But that's kind of what took out Gibbs and Zilich. Now Zilich actually still finished inside the top 10, but that guy took the race over for Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez it was a battle between him and Gray. There was a late race caution. I think it was like Jesse Love spun out on, I don't know what turn it was. It's going to be hard to tell you where all these wrecks were and when the turns were, because there's a lot of turns. I believe it was after turn 4, turn 14, it was kind of a blinding turn to then go into turn 15 to the front stretch. There was caution there. They led to one more restart with a couple laps to go, and Suarez got clear into turn 1, but then Gray was fast. Gray was fast enough to stay with Suarez, and then coming around in the stadium section for the final time in the final lap, Gray had a chance to use the bumper on turn 14, but he didn't use it enough. Like, he really could have used the bumper on Suarez there and really bumped him out of the way, and he could have got him really loose, but he made a business decision and not do that, because when you're in Mexico, I don't think you would have made those Mexican fans happy at all, especially if you ruined their hometown country driver, Daniel Suarez's chance to win that race. That would have been a bad look. But no, I thought it was a really good, fun race. I do have the finishing order if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. Daniel Suarez wins the race. Led 19 laps. Second, Tanner Gray. Third, Austin Hill. Fourth, Christian Eckes. Fifth, Kyle Zilich. Sixth, Williamson Walsh. Seventh, Austin Green. Eighth, Joe Burton. Ninth, Harrison Burton. 10th, Sammy Smith. 11th, Shannon Creed. 12th, Gene Thompson. 13th, Daniel Dye. 14th, Ty Gibbs. 15th, Alex LeBay. I can go on and on. Zilich finished 5th. I'm trying to see here where Ty Gibbs finished 14th still in top 15, but really it doesn't matter for Gibbs. That's a part-time car. Jesse Love was 18th. Keep going down the line here. Chris Rebello finished last because he blew an engine in stage 2. Justin Allgaier 34th. I know parts were a big deal. The altitude in the air was a big factor because they had like 100 less horsepower, an air sticker, so the ability for the brakes to breathe. Driving behind a car that really hurts you. The car gets heated up quick. Those brakes get heated up. Engine can overheat. So I felt like there was a couple of chances of maybe some brake failures. I don't know if that engine failure from Bell was a factor because of the altitude, but that was a fascinating thing to follow along this entire week. But congratulations to Daniel Suarez. It's a part-time car. The 9 car is a part-time car, but it's really cool to see Suarez get a W in his hometown country. That was awesome. Now, the Cup race. SVG. Yeah, this guy cooked the field. Now, I do feel like Gibbs was good enough to compete with him this race, but in stage 2, Gibbs chose to pit before stage 2. SVG still stayed out to win it, and then SVG stayed out on track. Stayed enough fuel. Really, I think if you really needed to, you only had to pit twice in this race. But with the way the rain worked and everything, there was I don't know if drivers took like maybe 3 stops. I don't exactly know how that all worked. Well, I guess technically drivers I think pit 3 times because of the rain tires. You got to put those things on. But then it ended up a late race, untimely caution for Gibbs when Gibbs hadn't pit yet. At the time when this caution came out in stage 3, 11 drivers had pitted, including SVG. And I guess Gibbs wanted to pit right there, but maybe some miscommunication. Let me see here. If I have to find, I have the quote, I have the thing. I don't know if right here. Yeah, Matt Weaver tweeted about they tried to call Ty Gibbs down the pit road when NASCAR was going to throw the caution for Hocevar, but they missed it and kept him going. Well, that doesn't work out for us. Not ideal, buddy. That was ring communication, yeah. So, Hocevar, I think it was between turn 14 and 15. It was a blinding turn. Hocevar was sitting up towards the wall, and no one, he was just sitting there, and cars were coming by, and NASCAR was probably trying to hold it, but they need to definitely throw a caution because they need to let people know they got to slow down. Because if someone took a wider entry there, they could have easily T-boned driver's side door, Hocevar. I know Gibbs was a little bit mad, I think, in post-race about this because he felt like he was just waiting there stalling, but there were cars coming by, so I'll give Hocevar the benefit of the doubt. But that's really what actually set up this race where SVG kind of took the lead control, and then really Gibbs was the only other car that could really stay with him. And that's actually what then led SVG to kind of control this race, and then lap after lap after lap was just extending his lead. And I saw this stat, I kept with me. Excuse me. Sorry. It was largest NASCAR Cup Series margin of victory in next-gen car. 16.5 seconds. I believe that was double from the previous longest margin of victory. I think it was like 7 seconds. Doubles that. And this was impressive. But that was kind of just dominating performance by SVG. Now look, we got to talk about it. SVG won this race. He was I believe 33rd in points. Now he'll be in the top 16 in regular points. He'll be in the playoffs. And look, guys, we can do this whole thing all over again. Harrison Burton, I think, was 34th in points. Won at Daytona. It was in the playoffs. Got eliminated in the first round. But I think to me, guys, I'd be upset about it, but this, you can't hate SVG. You just have to play. You just have to hate the player. No, excuse me, wrong. You just have to hate the game. Don't hate the player. This is a game that NASCAR wants to choose to prove their decide their champion. SVG just doing this thing. SVG put a great race. He deserved to win this race. Congratulations to him. I felt like, he won Chicago in 2023, ran one more race, finished top 10, but then last year, he didn't win a single road course race in the Cup Series. So I felt like, is he a little human now? Is this SMT data, all that stuff that made him good, now that drivers can look at that, is that taking away his superpower? But today proved that if you give him multiple laps, as a leader, he's going to continue to get better and better and better, and that's what SVG did. And now, he'll have Pocono coming up, and then he'll have the Chicago Street Race coming up, where I think he'll be the best car, because he was fast last year but got wrecked out in the rain. And then there's Sonoma coming up. There's a couple of good tracks coming out. The road courses, the majority of the road courses are coming up in the season, so there's a chance that SVG can knock down a couple more wins this season on the road courses. But impressive win for him. So the Cup race in general, there were 6 cautions for 16 laps. Margin of victory, like I said, was 16.5 seconds. 14 lane changes, and the race was around 3 hours and 14 minutes. So early in this race, I would say, was hectic. We ran one lap, and then we had rain. So guys came down for tires. Majority of the field pitted for tires, but only 2 cars stayed out, and it was still on slicks. It was Cindric and Chris Buescher. And that didn't go well in the restart there. I think Cindric was able to kind of fall in top 5, and then Buescher really fell out. And their guys were sliding around. But also the rain was still affecting the guys with rain tires on. We saw a massive crash. Massive crash. It took out a lot of contenders. It was on lap 8 of the race. It was the 7, the 19, the 38, the 9, the 8, the 5, the 16, the 34 were all involved in this accident. It really started with Kyle Busch going down turning 1 that's fast, the longest straightaway in NASCAR. Technically, it's longer than Pocono. When I think about a straightaway, you think about just going straight. It's the second longest actual straightaway because they call Talladega that whole straightaway from turn 4 to turn 1 a straightaway, even though they're not going straight. It's kind of confusing. But this was the longest straightaway, a lot of speed. Busch kind of said he went in there and hit the brakes, and it was just like ice to him. Even with rain tires, that going that speed, it's still like ice. He slid, he ran in the 7, destroyed the back in the 7, took out the 5, destroyed the toe link in the 5. A couple of other cars got involved, the 19, a bunch of cars were sliding all over the place. That took out a lot of contenders there. Guys that you would think, could run really well, especially, Kyle Larson. And that was the big wreck of the day. That was the biggest wreck of the day. Took out a lot of guys. It's like, oh boy, if this is how it's going to be all raised, it's going to be insane. But the rain stopped. The place got dried up. A lot of strategy in between at stage 1 about, when to pit to put on slicks. I know Austin Cindric ran really long. Like, I don't even know if Cindric pitted at all in stage 1, I believe. I believe he went like 43 laps into this race before pitting for his first stops. But that didn't really benefit him enough because I think enough guys stayed on the wet winter tires, and they all kind of ran that to the end of the stage. It was a battle between SVG, Ty Gibbs. SVG got the better of Ty Gibbs. I think he passed him through one of the restarts, and then Gibbs just didn't really get back to SVG. But then, if I can find it so I don't miss, Ryan Preece won stage 1 after Gibbs and SVG in the leaders pit. The reason the leaders pit before the stage 1 is because they don't want to lose their track position. Because this is a track where if you pit, you don't actually lose a lap. So you can pit early here, get your fresh tires, and then run around like half speed, keep those tires nice, and then if those leaders pit, then you can leap them in this running order. So that's kind of why that happens at road courses. So yeah, Ryan Preece gets a really important stage point. That's big for him in his quest to try and make the playoffs in this race. And then, we end up seeing Suarez take the lead to start off stage 2. It was a good battle between him and Gibbs, but then Gibbs took it right back. We saw a bunch of other cars. It was really, SVG had some work to do in stage 2. We saw a couple of other cars in there. I don't know. I can't remember exactly where all they were running at the time. We saw spins. The 42 spun, the 34 spun. We ended up seeing some strategy where the 72, the 99, the 47 were still on slicks. Well, the 72. I'm trying to see. I think it was the 77 and the 99, the 47 were still on slicks. We saw an 11 spin. There was a restart. Gibbs took over the restart over SVG. The 43 car blew a tire on lap 39. 4 tires pit stop finally for the 2. After 43 laps, the 2 took a pit stop. 3 laps to go in stage 3. The 24 to 9 pit from the top 10. There's rain expecting in stage 2. Ty Gibbs pits for slicks. 2 laps to go in the stage. SVG stays out in stage 2 to win stage 2. And then stage 3. There was always a lot of talk about this rain. So there's a lot of rain at the beginning of stage 1, but then it was like, there's rain expected, but it made me drop the rain a little bit, but it never rained hard enough to really bring back those rain tires. It would have been crazy. There was talks about rain at the end of this stage, the end of this race with like 20 laps to go. If rain came at that time, that would have been very fascinating to see how that played out. But then we had stage 3. Bell took the lead on the restart. We saw Chastain spin in the stadium section. The 47 gets spun. The 77 spins the 11. We had the 12 and the 43 in stage 2. Bell pits on lap 61. SVG pits from the lead on lap 63. The 77 spins on the entrance to pit road, the middle of green flag pit stops. The 11 cars pit so far, and that's what led to the caution that screwed over Ty Gibbs because he was getting ready to pit there, but I don't know if he missed it because they didn't think the caution was going to come out because NASCAR was really holding the caution hard at these tracks, trying to there was a couple of times where, I'll be honest, the Xfinity Series race, when the 24 blew up, he came down pit road, but just chilled out on the entrance and pit road. Just waited there. He wasn't in the path where a car was coming, but NASCAR, car was blowing up, just chilled there. And they're still having green flag runs, and it's probably because they didn't want to ruin their green flag pit stops. And that's where I feel like NASCAR doesn't like to throw cautions during the green flag cycle because they don't want to ruin the cycle for drivers. Even though if that was a caution on a lap, if that was a wreck if there was something going on with 20 laps to go, they would throw that caution. But they like to hold a caution more when it's going through the pit cycle because they don't want to screw over drivers. Even though, and it shouldn't matter what the freaking drivers are. If it's worthy of a caution at any other track, it should be. Because if a car was camped out on the entrance of pit road, then they should freaking throw the caution. And then it was funny that when Christopher Bell got out of the 24 car during green flag running, NASCAR got mad at him for getting out. But in NASCAR, you're not going to throw the caution, and you're mad if you're not going to throw this caution when this car is clearly in a situation where a car could hit it, even though it would have to be if they slid into it and got too hot in the pit road. Don't get mad at Bell. Don't get mad at Bell for getting out of a car, especially if you're not going to throw a caution for it, because then it must not be a hazard for Bell, because he must not be in an area that could get hit. I'm kind of confusing, kind of going all over the place with that thing. I could talk about that more, but that was one thing I don't really like with NASCAR, is that they really try to hold the yellows during green flag pit stops, because they don't want to screw over drivers and teams. Well, we're kind of running all over this race. Oh boy, here we go. There's a lot in this race. But the restart ended up happening. This screwed off Gibbs. Gibbs 8 qualified 12th. SVG was from the lead. Restart happened. Like I talked about, SVG took the lead, kind of controlling the race. But then we saw Alex Bowman up there. We saw Chase Elliott up there. I don't know. I gotta look at where the finishing order was. It kind of helped me out here. Yeah, Christopher Bell was up there in second. It was a good 3-race battle there for Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman. I would say that this race was there's a lot of physicality. Drivers not a lot of give and take. They were using the bodies well. And I bet you for a track that hosts F1 races, I bet you those Mexican fans were probably entertained, which I will say the fans would probably, even when this race maybe was, long gone, I still think fans enjoyed the racing at times, especially if you're sitting in turn 1 with all the content that would go into that turn. That was pretty awesome. I will have to talk about it, guys. We had a not Ross Chastain. We saw a Carson Hocevar versus Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a part 2. Entering, these guys were in the back of the pack. I don't exactly know where they were running order-wise, but they weren't really in contention for, I don't even think they were in the top 20. But Hocevar got hot, was trying to slow it down entering turn 12, and ran into the back of the 47 car and spun the 47 out. Well, Hocevar also got spun out to get right into it. And what ended up happening is Ricky Stenhouse confronted Carson Hocevar during the end of the race, post-race. Now, this is when Ricky got out of his car really fast, and Hocevar stayed in his car. And then all you see, there's a camera angle, and there's audio angle of Ricky putting his hand in the car and yelling at Hocevar. The gist of it was that he was going to beat Hocevar's butt when they get back into the States. Currently, they're in Mexico, so when they get back in the United States, Ricky's going to beat Carson Hocevar's butt. There's a better version of that one, but this is a clean show. We don't swear here, and I never would. And yeah, it's all right. So Ricky's mad. Ricky's fed up, and Hocevar in that little back and forth. He was very apologetic, but I don't know when's this going to happen. Is Ricky going to go to there's a Chevy Performance Center, and they're going to is Ricky going to be there, and Hocevar's going to be there, and they're going to throw down right there, or they're going to go to Pocono, and Ricky's going to wreck Hocevar. I think Ricky's done with apologetic stuff. I think this is the second time. And Ricky already spun out early during that stage 3 too, so his race was already over. He was probably upset, and then Hocevar, the guy he got wrecked out a race from at Nashville, hits him again. Maybe an accident, and Hocevar was loose right there. I don't know what Ricky's going to do. He wants to fight him, but will it happen at Pocono? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how that's going to play out, but look, it's great that I guess it got refueled. I personally would say that, look, yes, it was on Hocevar, but Hocevar was just he wasn't trying to hit Ricky. He wasn't trying to use Ricky up. He was just locked the tires up there, spun out, hit Ricky on the way through. But yeah, Ricky was livid. But yeah, it's going to be a great storyline to follow. I cannot wait to see where this goes. It's going to be great entertainment for us all. Yeah, overall, SCG took the win. Yeah, impressive win for him. Big win, like we already talked about. SCG being 33rd in points when he won this race, and now he'll be in the playoffs. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And that's how it is. And look, there's a new playoff format coming. Will NASCAR make a change in that playoff format? Well, let's say you have to be in the top 25 in points, to where if you win a race below that, you're not locked into the playoffs until you're in 25th or higher in the point standings. They could. We'll see. Maybe NASCAR doesn't care, because they used to have a rule where you had to be in the top 30 of points, and if you won a race, if you weren't in the top 30 points, you weren't in the playoffs yet. So they got rid of that rule for some reason, which still doesn't make sense to me at all. But hey, like I said, don't hate the player, hate the game. But some people like the game, which is fine. All right, so I went through, I definitely kind of ran through this race quick, because I feel like with the strategy stuff, I'm gonna just be running in circles and backtracking, and it was just a mess. Because there was a lot in this race: the physicality, car spinning out, beating and banging, a lot of good battles. Blaney versus Eric Jones. I saw Ryan Preece and the 19 get into it aggressively. There was a lot in this race that was really fun to watch. So, SCG gets the win, first win of the season. He led 60 laps in this race. Christopher Bell finished second, led 4 laps. Third, Chase Elliott and Alex Bowen, 2 top 5s. This is a great run for both of them, but a really great run for Alex Bowen. He had 2, since he got a top 5 in Atlanta, in Kansas, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, he had a top 4 at Norfolk Spur, but that was a non-points race. And then I think he had like 3 races where he didn't even finish in like the top 25. So just a terrible run for him, but this is a great run. And a road course, top 5 for him. Michael McDowell, this is a great run for him. A guy I picked to win. Just maybe kind of fell off, maybe a little bit of the speed, maybe a little bit of the strategy, execution. It was hard to kind of follow along with everyone, but still, to finish top 5 was good for him in that Spire car. John Nemechek, man, another really good run, a top 10. This is. I'm telling you, I think Legacy Motor Club is really making some strides in overall consistent speed every weekend. So this is great to see that from John Hunter. 7th was Chase Briscoe, a good run from him. Cole Custer, a top 10 for Haas Factory. I'm not sure how many top 10s Cole has got this year. This might be one of his first few. It might be his only, because I think he wrecked out at Daytona. I think this might be his first top 10 of the season. Could be wrong. William Byron, 9th. William Byron had some early issues with turn 1 in stage 1, but rebounded, finished top 10. Chris Buescher, 10th. Gibbs finished 11th. Gibbs, I think, was really pushing when he lost that track position because of that caution from Hocevar. He qualified. He started 12th. And then he got off like 8th or 9th, and then I think he burned his tires off trying so hard to get by cars. So disappointing for Gibbs. Bubba Balls was 12th, 13th, AJ Allmendinger, 14th, Ryan Blaney, 15th, Ryan Priest, top 10s of those guys, 16th, Ross Chastain, 17th, Aaron Jones, 18th, Austin Cindric, 19th, and Daniel Suarez, the hometown kid. A solid, I think he definitely won it better. I'm not sure if just the strategy or just the speed wasn't there for him. He did lead some laps early in stage 2, but after that, kind of fell off with the way that, because I think they were on rain tires there when Suarez took the lead there early in stage 2. They were still on rain tires, so they had to pit for slicks. I think that's kind of when we lost him in his track position with the leaders. Could be wrong about that. Reddick finished 20th, 21st, and a guy on 22nd, Todd Gillen. 23rd, Ryan Truex. Man, Ryan Truex had a day. And then subbing in for Denny Hamlin, who just had their 3rd kid, so congrats to the Hamlins. That's why Denny chose not to come down this weekend, because he wouldn't stay with the family. He was getting used up. There were so many times he got spun out or he spun. And most of the time it was when someone else was on the back bumper of him and spinning him out. Yeah, so it was interesting listening to Truex's post-race. He felt like that people were just using him up because this is his first race, so they felt like they could do that. Because the way that they are racing Truex is a way I don't think they would be racing Hamlin. But I think for him, Truex probably had fun, I would think. It's a good learning experience for him. He is currently the reserve driver for the Cup Series, and he runs part-time races in the Xfinty Series. He's a solid race car driver. He's like 33 years old. He wants to get that full-time ride, but just in the Xfinity Series, but just sponsorship hasn't worked out. But I think Truex, he qualified 36 and to finish 23rd. To me, that's a success. And that car was beat to crap because they were just abusing him on restarts. And that's kind of how every car, it's not like a short track race out there with how beat up some of these cars were. 24th, Justin Haley. 25th, Brad Keselowski. 26th, Josh Berry. 27th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 28th, Austin Dillon. 29th, Riley Herbst. 30th, Noah Gragson. 31st, Cody Ware. 32nd, Catherine Legge. 33rd, Ty Dillon. 34th, Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar also had a day. He spun out a couple times. He was a mess. Kyle Larson. Zane Smith. Yeah, Zane Smith. I gotta talk about Zane Smith. So Zane Smith was involved in that wreck where Kyle Busch spun early in stage 1. They were able to get the car fixed enough on pit road during their DVP clock time. But because they went past their DVP damaged vehicle policy clock time by a couple of seconds, they said, Zhang had to go into the pit road and had to go behind the paddock into the garage area or the DVP area right? And then they had to stop, back up, and pull out and go out back on the racetrack and then take a pass-through penalty. There was all that stuff they had to do, and it was hilarious because I was watching the onboard camera of him, and the NASCAR official was pointing to him where he can park so they can work on his car. But his car was fixed enough to go out there and race. But just because he went past his DVP clock time by a couple of seconds, he had to go in through, he had to stop in the garage. By NASCAR rule, he had to stop in the garage and then pull out. Just because he broke the time. So when you go past your time, you have to go down, you have to work in the garage. It was kind of funny because they were confused, like what, they thought he had to go in there and stop, but he was just doing this so he can, by rule, go back out on the racetrack. It was really freaking funny. Yeah, the DVP clock, I believe you have like 7 minutes to work on your car on pit road. If you extend that time on pit road, you have to go in the garage to fix it. But they fixed it within a couple of seconds and then had to go. They passed the time by a couple of seconds and then they had to go by rule. I'm saying it and repeating this again. They had to go down pit road. They had to go into the garage behind the paddock where that's the area you're supposed to work on your car. There's a damaged vehicle policy area for them to work on. That's where you work on your car if you're involved in a wreck. And then once your car is good, you can go back out. But Zane's car was good. But by rule, you had to do that. Had to go down into the garage and then come back out. Kind of silly, kind of messy. It's a mess trying to explain it to you guys. But that was kind of funny. Kyle Larson was the Xfinity Series fastest lap driver, ran the fastest lap. I think he was like 37 laps down, and they just chose to work on his car, get his car back to running really competitive lap times, and he got the fastest lap. So that's 1 point. Now, I would agree with the rule in the sense that I saw Steve O'Tark say that if you should not get the Xfinity fastest lap point if you're not on the lead lap. The fact that like you get in a wreck and then your team is just going to work on that car for 37 plus laps to get your car back to competitive speed, and then you go out there and run the fastest lap, especially when you can probably make adjustments too to make your car, really good for one lap. I don't exactly know. Could be wrong about that. Yeah, I don't really like that. I think the Xfinity fastest lap should go to someone that was on the lead lap when they got that. But that is what it is. Congrats to Larson. He salvaged a pretty disappointing day, but really wasn't his doing. Just Kyle Busch got loose and destroyed a couple of cars. Kyle Busch finished last. He was the only one that was technically out of the race and done for the day. And I guess you could say he kind of deserved it because he was the one that caused the wreck, I guess. It was kind of funny. Justin Haley. Where did Justin Haley finish? Yeah, Justin Haley finished 24th. The back of that car was destroyed. Just destroyed. And they were able to, continue to work on that car and at least finish top 25 with that type of car had to be a win-win day. Well, overall, guys, Mexico City, I gotta say, guys, I was a little bit skeptical. I was skeptical about this weekend, about this race. I don't like that we're going international when there's a lot of areas in America that we could still go, like NASCAR can go, and they haven't ever gone. But we want to go international, and I was blown away by the fan energy, the fan passion. Yesterday, during pre-race, they were all over these drivers, like crowding, huddling around these drivers, like trying to get a hat sign or anything signed. It felt like they were like celebrities, like Todd Gilliland. Todd Gilliland would never get that type of attention at a normal NASCAR weekend. He was getting the attention from all the fans wanting to get a hat, and there's like security, kind of protecting these guys too. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson. Of course, Daniel Suarez probably had the most media attention. There was like, I don't know how many media members were around him asking questions. But that was cool though. Like those fans, I didn't think that, the fans were this passionate. I saw these two ladies that drove. They rode on a bus for 13 hours to come watch this race, and they had the shirts that said, "I beat your favorite driver," and then on the back of them it said all of them. So the fans are very passionate. I was impressed by the passion. The race I thought was solid. A lot of good entertainment there. A lot of, hard racing. I think the fans were entertained. Now look, I guess NASCAR said they were happy about The attendance, I felt like the attendance was a little not every grandstand was full, and I felt like some areas looked kind of empty at times. But I'm just me. That could be negative. But if NASCAR is happy with it, I think the fans enjoyed themselves. I know there was a lot of negativity towards this weekend with the way everything was going. I mean, the hauler drivers drove for like an hour and 10 days as a group. They had to go through the border. I was hearing that they had to have they had to keep track of all the tools they had in their truck, everything, every amount of tool for each tool. I mean, all the work they had to do to get through the border. There was planes that were breaking down, and people had to wait an extra day to get into Mexico, all over the place. It was a little messy. It was a messy thing. But NASCAR said they learned a lot from this. I was hearing from Ben Kennedy had a little media session about this whole thing. People were talking about, fans, I guess, or team members and drivers were worried about maybe, I'm not going to be able to go out. I'm not going to be able to go out of my hotel. It's too dangerous or whatever. I don't know. Just all this speculation. And I think from what the drivers were saying, they had a great time. I think it was a massive success. It'll be fun to see if they come back next year or they wait a year or two to go back again. But I think overall this is a great weekend. To say it again, the Prime broadcast was once again really, really good. The detail, the commentating, the pre-race was awesome. The post-race was incredible. These past 4 weeks have been incredible by Prime. I will not be able to experience the final race broadcast for Pocono because I will be in Pocono. I'll definitely try to watch post-race, though, because I always enjoy the post-race. But I think Prime has been incredible. They set a new bar, I think, for the way you should do a good post-race, pre-race, and race, the way they talk about it. All three of them, Adam Alexander, Dale Jr., and Steve Letarte, do a great job. They're not talking over each other. They all have great skills and talents. They all use really well with each other, and the correlation chemistry is really, really good. Daniel Suarez, Carl Edwards, Corey LaJoy are really good on the pre-race and post-race stage. They all work really well. All get really good takes. And Daniel Suarez, the way she runs that whole thing and is able to bounce questions back and forth, she's very good. I think Prime did a great job. The graphics are good. Everything was incredible by Prime this year. Really happy for them. Wish they had more races, but they only had 5 races. That's what they had to work with. But I think it was a massive, massive success for Prime. So looking forward when they return next year again for another 5 races. Now, to talk about what I want to talk about. So Pocono is my hometown track. And I'm going to be going down there for the weekend camping. Because that was the plan in general. But I am going to be, for the first time, this is a big deal, crazy I have to say this, but I will be a NASCAR media member for the weekend. I applied for a media credential for Pocono, and they accepted it, and it went through. So, I didn't get denied. So I will be a NASCAR media member. I will be a media member for the NASCAR weekend at Pocono Raceway this weekend. So I'll be in the trenches, experiencing what it's like to be a media member, to kind of learn the ins and outs. I'm going to be very nervous because, it's uncomfortable. I'm going to see a lot of new people. I'm going to have the opportunity to interview drivers, during times, post-race, and then the drivers, the Cup Series drivers have a media bullpen where you can go and ask questions. Who knows how the nerves will probably be running through me. Who knows I'll be able to actually want to ask a question because, personally, I'll be doing this through Rolling the Bottom. I'm not working for anyone. I'm not getting paid to do this. This is just me applying the whole, and hoping I got an opportunity and they accepted my application. So I'm going to get to do this. I'm super excited. I didn't think this early into my time covering NASCAR and making content around NASCAR I would get a media credential like this, but I'm pretty excited, taking this very seriously. I'm looking forward to it. Right now the excitement is not really there yet, but it will be when I get to Pocono. So really cannot wait for that. Really excited. Overall, that was Mexico City. Really enjoyed the weekend. I think a big week for NASCAR. NASCAR learned a lot for the future when they come back to Mexico City. Excited to see it. The Ricky Stenhouse versus Carson. How does that story continue? Can SVG keep that momentum up heading into the next couple road courses? And how does the Pocono race go down? That tricky triangle, baby. Let's freaking go. Have a good weekend. See you next week after Pocono, live from Pocono. We're going to try to do a live podcast right there. We'll see. Goodbye, y'all. Love you.